Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to practice self-compassion. Last video we talked about the importance of self-compassion. Today we're going to actually talk about how to do it. So if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, as we are providing mental health information from a centered place. That's the goal. And let's jump into it. So, the first area of how we try to practice self-compassion is one, we got to define it, okay? So, defining self-compassion, it is having a positive attitude or mindset about self, and where we allow ourselves to be human. We accept the fact that we are flawed, and that is okay. And so the first way that we practice self-compassion is by giving ourselves grace. Giving yourself grace. That means not allowing yourself to stay in a place where you beat yourself up about something that you do, or where you're not putting pressure on yourself to do the right thing at all times. But give yourself grace to learn from life, to view life as a lesson instead of a trial where everything that you say will and can be used against you, right? You're allowing yourself to experience life and grow from it and learn from it, versus everything being a make or break. And I think that's kind of where we are in our world. And so our society kind of unfortunately reinforces this. If you make a mistake, if you do one wrong thing, it could be the end of you. And that it does not reinforce self-compassion at all. It just reinforces that trial mentality. And so reminding yourself that you don't have to respond in the way that we see others respond in the world, that there's another option, and the option is grace. The option is grace. And grace doesn't let you off the hook. Grace doesn't mean, again, that you don't hold yourself accountable, but grace just means, okay, we made a mistake. We need to take accountability. And what can I learn? What can I learn about this? What can I learn about myself? And then how can I help use this information to help me in the future? Okay? Second way that we can use self-compassion is by accepting ourselves. And I'm talking about true acceptance. These are accepting the parts of us that we don't like. Accepting them. Not saying that we're not going to work with them. Acceptance doesn't mean that we are 100% okay with all of our parts, right? Accepting them is about learning them. What is it about this part of me that demands perfection for myself? Where did this come from? Oh, this part is just a part that I developed when I was in school, and I'm trying to get good grades so that my parents won't be disappointed in me. Oh, okay. All right. So this part of me doesn't have a bad intentions or bad motives. It's just trying to protect me. Getting to learn this part and accepting this part of yourself. And knowing, even though you may not like this part of yourself, that is still a part of you. And growing to accept that it is a part of you. To accept all of you. And not have such an internal struggle, an internal battle with yourself, where you have parts with those parts of you that you don't like. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they're there, and there's a reason why they show up in the way that they do. Become curious of them and learn to accept them, right? The third way where we can learn to have some compassion towards ourselves is when we remove the judgment. Notice when I said the parts of you that you don't like, to become curious about them and ask questions instead of saying, ugh, I don't like this part of me. It's so stupid. It's so silly. It gets on my nerves. It always gets in the way. I mean, and the frustration is real. The frustration is valid. And at the same time, it becomes then where the parts that we don't like about ourselves, we tend to think that they are bad parts. And there are no bad parts of us. There are parts of us that don't always know how to get the best results that we want, right? There are parts of us that get in our own way, right? We don't like those parts. There are parts of us that do some unhealthy behaviors and we want to stop, that spend too much money, that don't make the best healthy decisions, that pick the wrong people to be in relationships with, that give people chance after chance, even though they've proven to us that they are not the best for us at this juncture in our life, right? We have those parts, but we have to get curious about them and in a place that removes the judgment, and helps us again to get to a deeper level of compassion and self-acceptance. Remove the judgment. It's hard stuff, but remove it, because that's how we learn and grow. That's how we truly get to the place in the path of acceptance and the path of compassion towards ourselves. Number 4. The fourth area in how we grow in the area of self-compassion is by practicing internal validation. Internal validation is when we tell us that what we're feeling is okay, that who we are is okay, period. We often are looking for external validation, for other people to tell us that. But when we practice internal validation, when we don't wait for others to do it and we do it for ourselves, through whether it's through practicing affirmations, whether it's through being curious about our feelings instead of judging them, allowing ourselves to say it's okay that you feel this way, it's valid that you feel this way. Our emotions don't usually make sense, right? Let's say this, our emotions don't always make sense. They're not always factual, and I think sometimes that's where judgment comes in. And so instead of, when things don't make sense, we jump to a judgment instead of curiosity. And so a way that we can practice that is by validating our feelings, validating ourselves, to know that we do have value, that our feelings are valid, and that who we are is okay, outside of what others say. Sometimes it could be challenging because we can misinterpret things, especially in a childlike space. In a childlike space, it can feel that because people mistreat us, then that determines our value. And that's not the case. Oftentimes, the way people treat us is a direct reflection of how they see themselves. And it's not until we know later on in life that we are able to validate ourselves instead of allowing other people to validate us, or waiting, I should say, for others to validate us. Last way that we can practice self-compassion is by remaining connected. Yes, remaining connected to other people can help us practice self-compassion. Well, how is that? So glad you asked. How remaining connected to others helps us to know that, oh, I'm not the only person that thinks and feels this way. When we remain isolated and don't connect with other people, it can feel like we're the only person that's ever felt this way or thought these thoughts, and that's not the case. This human experience has so many parallels. It's very parallel. There's not much new that's been happening since humans have come to this earth, right? And so we typically are feeling a lot of things or going through very similar things. And that's the power and the connection. And that's why it's so important to be connected. It can help to validate those feelings that we need to validate for ourselves when we hear someone going through the same struggles that we're going through or battling the same things that we're going through, and reinforce that compassion to say, oh, it's okay because other people have had these same struggles. It's okay for me to have this compassion towards myself because other people are going through this. It's the same. It's okay. I hope that this video has been helpful for you in the area of self-compassion. The way that we can do that, of course, we talked about giving yourself grace, right? Allowing yourself the permission to be human, right? Accepting all of you, even the parts of you that you're still learning to understand or struggling to understand. Remove that judgment. Remove that judgment. You're not bad. Even though it may not make sense to you or seem silly or stupid, these are sometimes very harsh words we use to describe some parts of us that we don't understand or parts of us that may come from like a childlike place for us that we don't know, but that's okay. And that's when we get curious and we reserve judgment and get curious, and we mindfully observe our thoughts and our feelings to figure out what is this about? Why am I showing up in this way? The fourth is that we validate. We validate ourselves. We validate our feelings. We validate our thoughts. We validate our beings, who we are, and our experiences. Can we be honest that this pandemic is tough? It's been 2 years. This is tough. It's truly tough. And then we have to fight to stay connected. We have to do it. Connection is can be where we again say, oh, it's not just me. Other people are struggling too. Are having these thoughts and these questions. Like, I wonder what it's I was thinking that it was me, but it's not. It's not just me. We're all dealing with these challenges. We're all struggling in the area of life, right? Give yourself some grace. Hopefully you give yourself some compassion, and then hopefully you can pass on some compassion to others. If you're still struggling in the area of compassion, just think to yourself, if I had a friend who was struggling with this same thing, what would I say to them? If I had someone else who I loved and cherished, and they came to me and they were struggling with this same thing, what would I say to them? That will usually help you know what to say to yourself when we're struggling in the area of self-compassion. Thank you so much for watching. You take care now. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with somebody, share it with a friend, and see you next time. Take care.